Hello there, lovely people. It's Alex from Nintendo Life here, and today we're going to be looking at the top 10 best-selling Nintendo Switch games on the Nintendo Switch. These are only the first-party games. We don't have numbers for any third-party games, so if it's not been made by Nintendo, it's not going to be on this list. Also, on the information we were given by Nintendo, they also included another 11th entry, which was Nintendo Labo series, which we're not going to include because it doesn't really feel like it's in keeping with the whole thing. Also, it's a series, so that doesn't really feel like a single game. But anyway, that's more than enough waffling. Let's dive right into things. At number 10, we've got Mario Tennis Aces with 1.38 million units sold. It's the most recently released entry on this list, and it's not terribly surprising that it's sold over a million because it's got the Mario name in it, but even so, it's refreshing to see. I'm well aware that some people weren't 100% happy with everything that was in Mario Tennis Aces, and more importantly, were not so happy with the things that weren't in it, but even so, I still think it's a really good game, and well worth selling over a million. That made very little sense, but you know what I mean. Then at number 9, we've got Donkey Kong Country Tropical Freeze with 1.4 million. I cannot express just how pleased I am that this is finally on this list, and it has finally sold a decent number of units. Obviously, it was released on the Wii U as well, but it did not perform anywhere near what it deserved on the Wii U, probably because it was the Wii U. This is without a doubt one of the most well-refined platformers on the Switch probably ever. I love it to pieces, and if you haven't played it, what are you doing with your life? At number 8, we've got Xenoblade Chronicles 2 with 1.42 million. This is really encouraging to see because I know Xenoblade Chronicles was pretty damn big on the Wii, but even so, it was still relatively niche in some regards. It wasn't a hugely established franchise. Yes, I know there were things like Xenogears and stuff like that beforehand, but for actually Xenoblade Chronicles, it wasn't terribly well established. It was basically new on the Wii, and this was taking things in arguably a completely different direction with entirely new characters, a new plot, a new world, and basically being little more than a spiritual successor to the original. So, you know, to get 1.42 million, that's ruddy good, and I'm really pleased. It's hopefully going to encourage some other new and slightly bolder games in the future for the Switch. At number 7, one that genuinely surprised me, Kirby Star Allies with 1.89 million. The Kirby name is relatively big, but at the same time I didn't think it was that big, and I'm fairly certain it's not that big. You know, in terms of big Nintendo franchises, Kirby isn't up there. I mean, I love Kirby to pieces, but even so, it never really struck me as a million-selling thing. So I'm pleased, don't get me wrong, I really am pleased, but at the same time, I don't know, it just took me aback, that's all. I'm just hoping we're going to get another Kirby game and it's going to be even better than Star Allies. I really liked Star Allies, but it had some elements that really could have done with a little bit more work, and maybe we could get that in a sequel, and with 1.89 million sold, that's entirely possible now. At number 6, one that I am unbelievably pleased about. ARMS. With 2.01 million units sold, it really is really encouraging to see this because even though, yes, it's a Nintendo franchise, it is a brand new Nintendo franchise, and one that arguably doesn't necessarily appeal to a very broad audience. I mean, yeah, visually maybe, but even so, it's a fighting game with motion controls, and it managed to sell 2 million units. I'd say that's really ruddy good. Considering that a lot of recent Nintendo efforts, you know, in regards to new IPs like Dylan's Rolling Western, and there's another one that I can't think of right now. Oh yeah, codename Steam. They were fun games, but they didn't really capture people's attention, and they didn't really do all that well. Even though they were officially Nintendo, they just didn't really seem to gel with people, and I'm really pleased to see ARMS has, because I love me some ARMS. At number 5, it's 1-2 Switch with 2.45 million units sold. Part of me is surprised that it sold that many, and part of me is surprised that it didn't sell more. I don't know, it sort of feels like the Switch's equivalent of Wii Sports, which is not the first time that comparison has been made, not even by me, I don't think, but even so, it does sort of, it's that sort of mini-game focus, you know, no real depth, just sort of pick up and play kind of thing to try and attract the casual market, which is fine, but even so, I don't know, it's not really my thing. The asking price for it at launch really was quite steep, and it still is, to be honest, but I suppose if you're targeting the casual audience and they, you know, not wishing to sound rude but don't know any better when it comes to the value of a game, then I suppose you could get to 2.45 million. I don't know. I'm just a bit surprised that it sold that many. Then in number 4, absolutely deserves it, Splatoon 2 with 6.76 million. That is a big lead. That's over 4 million more than 1-2 Switch. In fact, it's nearly 3 times as many. That's crazy. Obviously, another relatively new Nintendo franchise, and one that has clearly struck a chord with people, as it did with the original, and Splatoon 2 is just better in every way, to be honest. So, am I surprised? No. Am I pleased? I'm so pleased. Then all the way down at number 3, The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild with 9.32 million units sold. Now, don't get me wrong at all, 9.32 million is more games than I could sell, but even so, considering how many people are talking about it, I thought it would be more. Maybe I just have ridiculous expectations, I don't know. Now, judging from what we've got, this isn't including the Wii U version, so this is 9.32 million only on the Switch, which is fine because it's the best version. So it may well be that with Wii U figures, then it sort of bumps it up a bit. But even so, you know, it's practically 10 million. That is absolutely fantastic, and it is more than deserving of that. And to be honest, it deserves more. And no doubt over the course of the Switch's life, it will get more. I really wouldn't be surprised if we were seeing 15 million by the time that the Switch is over. Then at number 2, with 10.35 million sold, it's Mario Kart 8 Deluxe. This deluxe version for the Switch has been out just over a year, but of course there was the original Mario Kart 8 on the Wii U. And that sold less than this over the entire span of its life, which is really encouraging for the Switch. Although it was the Wii U. The Wii U version sold 8.4 million copies worldwide as of December the 31st, 2017, and so this version, despite being out for a quarter of the time, has already streaked past that with reckless abandon. A couple of people were a little bit disappointed that it wasn't Mario Kart 9, but even so, I think this is more than sensible. You know, they had the original version on Wii U, it was very easy to bring it over from what little I understand of game development, and it made sense. You know, Nintendo has to sort of think economically and outside the box, and it means that, you know, at least 2 million people who didn't play the game before can now play it, or at least own it. I imagine lots of other people played it without owning it. Because it's multiplayer. And you know what that means? Yes, it leaves the obvious winner, Super Mario Odyssey, at number 1 with 11.17 million units sold. This is when I'd like to point out, if you didn't know already, the Switch has sold 19.61 million consoles, which means that Super Mario Odyssey has an attachment rate of 56%, which is unprecedented. That means more than half of Switch owners own a copy of Super Mario Odyssey, which is frankly amazing and really deserved. It's not really that surprising. It's got Mario in the title, and everybody loves a little bit of Mario, and anybody who doesn't is only lying to themselves. It's a shame because I do think that Breath of the Wild is the better game, but even so, you know, Odyssey is still absolutely phenomenal, arguably more refined, but I think Breath of the Wild is just more fun. But again, you know, it's just a personal preference at the end of the day. It's still so deserving of that number. And there you have it. Those are the top 10 most popular Nintendo Switch games, and the best-selling ones at that, excluding Labo. Oh, Labo sold 1.39 million, if you were wondering. But that's the whole thing, so it's like 2 different things. So how does that count? I don't know. Again, this is only the official first-party games that have been released included on here, simply because that's all we had to go on. It'll be really interesting to see. It'll be really interesting to see how third parties have got along as well, but we'll probably have to wait a little bit of time to see that, or at least some sort of comprehensive list that I've spent too long researching. But how many of these million-selling games do you own? Let us know down there in the comments. Thank you so much for watching. If you like this video, then why don't you click that subscribe button 1 million times, and then send me video evidence, and be sure to check out nintendolife.com for all sorts of lovely Nintendo related content. Thank you again for watching. Bye bye.